Rob Burnaby here. Knowing when to refinance is probably the most misunderstood concept in managing your mortgage debt. Lenders make a living by consistently refinancing your mortgage. They need you to refinance in order to keep the cash register ringing. That's why they'll approach you anytime they can lower your payment. Now, whose best interests do you think are being served? Yours or the mortgage company's? You must decide, not them. Therefore, refinance only when it makes economic sense to do so. This means you must accomplish 3 things. 1. Reduce the cost of your mortgage debt. 2. Accelerate the payoff date. And 3. Recoup your closing costs inside of 2 years. If you follow these rules, you'll save tons of money every time you refinance. And you'll pay off your mortgage much earlier than you ever dreamed possible. Let's face it, someday you've got to pay off that mortgage debt. Refinancing should be a tool to facilitate that goal, not one which delays achieving it. So let's take a peek inside and learn more.
Like I've said, you should refinance only when it makes economic sense for you, not the mortgage company. Well, we're going to look at the refinance decision engine by way of a powerful example I call the 4.5% sucker loan. Let's dive in. Here's the decision engine input page. You've had your existing mortgage for about 5 years, and the interest rate is 5.75%, and your balance is about $371,000. You respond to an ad for 4.5% mortgage loan. After calling and obtaining the details, you find out that new loan is going to cost you $11,000 in closing costs. Your old payment is $2,334, and your new payment is $1,940. You're going to save $394 a month. Sounds like a great deal, right? Well, the answer may surprise you. Let's click on the Help Me Decide button and let the engine do the work. Here's the results. You were sold a new payment of $1,941, and that was going to save you $394 a month. Plus, you've reduced your interest rate by 1.25 points. This cost you a little more than $11,000 in closing costs, so your new mortgage is $383,000. You've significantly reduced your monthly payment, but have you really saved any money? Well, let's apply the 3 tests. You must reduce the cost of your mortgage, accelerate the payoff date, and recoup the closing costs inside of 2 years. Let's look at each one. Test number 1. You can see that we've decreased the cost of the mortgage by a little bit over $13,000. But have we really? Well, with closing costs, we've increased our loan balance by almost $12,000. This has netted you $1,600 in savings over the life of the new mortgage. You've saved nothing. Now test number 2. Doesn't look so good. Congratulations, you get to make mortgage payments for another 5 years. Now to test number 3. In this case, it takes about 3 years to break even. Does this still look like a good deal to you? We thought we'd save about $400 per month. How did this happen? Simple. We extended the mortgage by 5 years. It's just not worth it. All you've done is lowered your payment and borrowed against your future. With those extra 5 years, you'll be making payments well into your retirement years. You've accomplished nothing. Do you want to be a sucker? Well, in this case, you are. The person who sold you the mortgage sure made out well, and so did his mortgage company. Everybody wins but you. So let's see if we can't fix this. Now here's how to think about a refinance. Listen carefully. In this case, you borrowed $383,000 in order to finance $11,000 in closing costs, which were used to obtain a rate of 4.5%. Now that's a great rate, but we've learned there was no gain, right? Well, what happens if you make the old payment on the new loan? Let's check that out. Now let's take another look at the 3 tests. You'll notice a column that gives you the results if you make the old payment on the new loan. Test number 1 indicates we've reduced the cost of the mortgage debt by over $116,000. And in test number 2, we've accelerated the payoff date by almost 4 years. Now test number 3 doesn't change. We still haven't recouped the closing costs inside of 2 years. But here's how you can think about it. What if you were required to pay the $11,000 in closing costs out of your pocket? Would you do it? You probably wouldn't, so it shouldn't make any difference just because they're rolled into the loan amount. Now let's look at a picture. In our example, if you take the new loan and make the new payment, you're going to live on the green line. A lower payment doesn't amount to savings if you spend all the savings. Well, I don't know about you, but I'd rather live on the red line. So let's look at a great feature of the refinance decision engine. It's called the what if payment. You click on it, and let's say you could afford to pay $2,500 a month. Now let's take a look. Almost $142,000 in savings. And we've accelerated the payoff date even further. This is reflected by the red line. If you were 45 and refinanced using the green line, you'd be 75 when you paid off that mortgage. The red line will get you off the hook a full 13 years earlier. When you're a homeowner, danger lurks each time the mortgage company pings you to refinance. Before you jump on their offer, stop and listen carefully. You are being sold a payment, and you get to finance the closing costs by rolling them into the new loan, so it doesn't feel like you're spending $11,000. If you allow yourself to get sucked in by the typical sales pitch, you're going to end up making big mistakes. Don't be a sucker. Never buy a payment. How much are you willing to pay to obtain a new rate? Is it worth it? Will you save any money? Our refinance decision engine will ensure you get it right every time. For your benefit, not the mortgage company.